This video is made possible by Clove Technology. Visit clove.co.uk to pick up the Sony Xperia Z2 and other devices SIM-free.
Hey, what's up YouTube? Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the camera quality of the Sony Xperia Z2 versus the iPhone 5s. I'll be looking at both the front and rear facing cameras as well as images and video too. And do also look out for the audio icon in the corner of the screen, and that will indicate to you which device the audio is coming from too. So we're currently indoors and we've got some good light. We're using the front facing cameras on both devices. One thing to bear in mind straight away is that the iPhone 5s films at 720p from the front facing camera, whereas the Sony Xperia Z2 films at full 1080p from the front facing camera. So you may notice a difference straight away. Well, anyway, let's head outside. It's a great day, so do hit that thumbs up button and let's head outside and give the rear facing cameras a test too. Okay, so we're now outdoors and we've got some great light here today in Leicester. It's an absolutely beautiful day, which is quite a change actually to see here in the UK. And this is the sort of quality that you can expect from the rear facing cameras. Now we are filming at 1080p on both of these devices with the rear facing cameras, and this is the sort of quality that you can expect. Now here are some close-ups with 1080p, so we've got a bit of variation in color here. And we're still filming at 1080p on both of these devices. Now one thing to bear in mind is that the Sony Xperia Z2 does also film in 4K, so right now we are filming in 4K on the Sony Xperia Z2. Now although this video is exported out at 1080p, the advantage is that you can either scale down or you can also crop in to the image, so you can crop in and get lots more detail because of that 4K recording. Alright, so now we're indoors in relatively low light and we are using the Sony Xperia Z2 just to test the autofocus out, and it seems to be doing pretty well. I don't think you can touch the focus to focus into your particular subject. It is autofocus here. When I'm touching, I don't seem to be getting any response, so that's something to bear in mind. Okay, now we're in the same lighting on the iPhone 5s, and this is the sort of quality that you can expect. The autofocus is pretty good, and you can touch the focus if you do want to force focus on anything in particular, and that also works pretty well, and you do get some feedback on screen for that as well. So we've had a look at some videos, now let's have a look at some images. I'm going to mix this up slightly and make it a little bit different to what we usually do. I'm not going to put the labels on up until later, so that way you can decide which one you think is better, after which I will reveal the labels, so you can pause the video and decide which one you think is better, and I'll be mixing these up. Now this is mainly to give you a better idea of which one is better before having any sort of bias or influence to your particular preferred brand. So starting off with a selfie using the front facing cameras on both of these devices, you can see that the left hand side is a wider image, so you're capturing a little bit more in the wider angle image on the left hand side. The right hand side image is a little bit softer. Now some people may prefer this because it smooths out some of your skin, and they may prefer this a little bit on the right hand side, but I do definitely prefer a sharper image. As you can see from the stubble, there's a lot more sharper detail on the left hand side image. Now to do the reveal, who wants a drum roll? It's the iPhone 5s that's on the left hand side, and I would say I do prefer the iPhone 5s on the left hand side because of that more detail. Now moving on to an outdoor image in good light, so we've got some flowers here. I think both are doing a great job on here. On the left hand side you've got a bit more vibrance on here. You could possibly say that the tones on the right hand side are a bit more true, but that will come down to personal preference. I think both are doing an absolutely great job. And just to do a reveal here again, we've got the Sony Xperia Z2 on the left hand side this time and the iPhone 5s on the right hand side. Now one thing to mention is that the Sony Xperia Z2 does have a 20.7 megapixel sensor compared to the iPhone 5s, which has an 8 megapixel sensor. So if you go in 100%, you can see that you've got a ton of more detail on the Sony Xperia Z2, which I do like. You've got that ability to crop in further as well, and you've got a ton more resolution on the Sony Xperia Z2. The other thing I do have to mention is that on the iPhone 5s, I did find it difficult to focus into a particular flower. When I was touching to focus, it was missing the focus a few times. Now I'm not sure how the focusing system works on the iPhone 5s, but I did find it a little bit better to pinpoint on particular items on the Sony Xperia Z2. Now moving on to an outdoor wide shot, I think both are again doing a great job here. You've got nice colors, nice detail on both images. You've got slightly cooler tones on the left hand side, slightly warmer tones on the right hand side. And to do the reveal, we've got the Sony Xperia Z2 on the left hand side and the iPhone 5s on the right hand side. I think both are doing a good job here. You've got a little bit more vibrance once again on the Sony Xperia Z2.
Now moving on to an indoor shot in good light, we've got some slightly different tones here. We've got some cooler tones on the right hand side, some warmer tones on the left hand side. Personally, I do prefer the cooler tones on the right hand side. And those are off at the Sony Xperia Z2, and we've got the iPhone 5S on the left hand side. Not a major difference between these two here, but I do prefer cooler tones. It will come down to personal preference. Some people will prefer the warmer tones on the iPhone 5S. Now moving on to an image indoors in relatively low light. This is a good test to test out the low light capabilities of these cameras. I think both are doing a great job. I'm going to call this one a tie here. You've got, once again, very slight differences in tone, but I think both are doing a good job here. And to do the reveal, we've got the Sony Xperia Z2 on the right hand side and the iPhone 5S on the left hand side. Which one did you think was better? Now finally, moving on to an image indoors in low light using the flash. So now this is a good test of the flash. I think it goes without saying that the right hand side image is much better. The left hand side image is very washed out and very yellow as well, so not good there at all. And the right hand side image is of the iPhone 5S, and that is because of that dual LED flash, and it's doing a great job. I do really like the dual LED flash. I think it's one of the best flashes on any smartphone camera at the moment, and it does a great job here, as you can see. So there we have it, the camera comparison of the Sony Xperia Z2 versus the iPhone 5S. I think both are great cameras and both take great shots overall. In my opinion, I would say that even though the iPhone 5S has a low resolution on the front-facing camera, it does produce better front-facing images. As you saw with the selfies, I think it has more detail, and I would give the edge for the front-facing camera to the iPhone 5S. But for the rear-facing camera, images and video, I think I do have to give the edge to the Sony Xperia Z2. That huge 20.7 megapixel sensor means tons of detail, good low light performance, and to top it off, you've also got 4K recording from the rear-facing camera, which is absolutely great. And you've got lots more options here. You can crop in and you can really change the composition of your images as well because of the larger resolution in images as well as video. Images with flash do have to go to the iPhone 5S though. I think that dual LED flash is still doing a great job and is still one of the best out there in terms of the flash. So it depends on what you take more shots of. That's what I think anyway. What do you think? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you want to see more images from both of these devices, then do go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. I'm at SuperSafTV and I post lots of images from lots of different devices, so do go ahead and check that out. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSafTV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.